Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You can check out my website, shalomklein.com, where you can download the past 8+ years of conversations with amazing entrepreneurs, amazing people doing amazing things. And that's exactly who I'm bringing onto the program now. That's entrepreneurs Duane Johns and Dave Young. And they want to, quote, inspire change in the home building and remodeling industry. And that's what they do all the time on their conversations on the Builder Nuggets podcast. Duane and Dave, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us. Sean. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure. So I love to get to know the people behind the microphone. I know that you are both recognized business coaches in the industry. And I know, based in Charlotte, North Carolina and Ontario, Canada, kind of different worlds, but you have come together in this passion for custom construction businesses. So, if you gentlemen can please introduce yourself.
Sure, be glad to. Thanks again for having us on. I've, have been in the industry all my life in some form or fashion. Probably one of the stereotypical stories that you hear in the industry. Went from the fellow that was stacking lumber on job sites to becoming my own trade subcontractor and, saying, hey, let me start my own business, and then wearing all the hats that come with being a business owner, entrepreneur. Fast forward to the 2000s, start to go a little bit higher level around how can I grow my business, and started thinking about things on a bit of a more higher business level, things like the E-Myth. That was certainly something that was influential in my life, but also connected with Dave Young, and the two of us sort of shared the same passion and understanding that the residential custom construction industry it's a fragmented industry. It's a difficult industry. It's a fun industry, huge opportunities in it, but there is, it's kind of stuck in its ways. Did not have a lot of businesses don't have systems, structure, all the things that they really need to grow and scale. And then another thing is on the tail end, there's a lot of these businesses, unfortunately, folks that put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into 20 to 30 years. And, they end up just closing their doors. They don't even have something that's a valuable asset that they could possibly sell or have some options to do with. So that was kind of the basis for us teaming together. We want to help business owners, especially in our industry, obviously, be able to correct some of these things and get themselves on track, build some freedom into their businesses. And that kind of spun off into us starting a podcast and some consulting stuff. And that's kind of where we are today.
Absolutely. And Dave, over to you. If you don't mind briefly tell us how your side of the story.
Yeah, completely opposite. So I grew up in a real estate family. I was into real estate investment young, very into developing my own businesses, worked in the real estate technology space for a bit, and really I love anything to do with houses, but I'm not a technician by any stretch of the means of the word. But in 2013, I was minding my own business. I got a call out of the blue from a gentleman who was representing a new opportunity, a new company that was coming to Ontario. And he said, this is a game changer. You literally have to hear about this thing. And I listened for a bit and I said, okay, well, what is it? He says, it's a custom home building franchise. And I said, dude, I'm out. I have no interest in that. Like 10-foot pole for me. And the joke in my house is that, the best tool in the toolbox is the checkbook. So completely different background from Duane. But I agreed to a 30-minute call with the CEO of Alair Homes, Blair McDaniel. And our 30-minute call went 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I heard a young guy's vision of this company that he had started that was going to bring builders together, create a mastermind, leverage services. It's the last business to go through, the last industry to go through consolidation. And I just thought in that one phone call that this guy was right and this was going to work. So I decided right then, I did a little more due diligence. But I went on to open a couple of regions with Alair Homes. That's how I met Duane. So we also provide support for builders that are, and leadership for builders that are leveraging this mastermind system. And we just decided that we wanted to take all the things that we had learned through both of our careers and what we were learning in our coaching and share it with the industry so that they could build some freedom for themselves too. And the response has been phenomenal. We thought we were going to share what we knew, and we ended up bringing in so many experts. And it's collaboration over competition. Getting the best of the best people in here so that they can grow businesses that are meaningful and valuable, create opportunities for other people, and get away from the commoditization and even the commoditization mindset. So here we are with a podcast now.
Yeah, well, two very different stories coming together in a passion for, I know what you both argue is the most rewarding businesses in the industry, working with award-winning builders, remodelers, as well as business coaches, industry experts, and fellow podcasters. And it's always a pleasure to have fellow podcasters on the program. So we're going to squeeze in a break in just a minute or so, but I am curious if folks find the Builder Nuggets podcast, what is it that they will walk away from the conversation with?
To me, I think the biggest thing, and it's right in sort of the name we come up, the nuggets. There's these little things that they're going to hear from people that have had success. The whole premise of the podcast was, we see that there's a lot of folks in this industry that they spend, the vast majority of their careers somewhat isolated and trying to figure all of this stuff out on their own. There is no book for this, so when we bring folks on, whether they're business coaches, successful builders, remodelers, other folks in the industry, business owners, it's these takeaways constantly, things that people have done. It resonates with the listeners. Wow, you know what? I was in that position. I totally understand that. I'd love to try that. I'd love to implement that in my business. I think that's just it. It's these little parts and pieces that they can take immediately from hearing it and plug it into their business and see some success.
Well, that's fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's backed by powerful stories too. It's important to have the action and the takeaways, those nuggets, but it's also important to understand why, because that's how you get committed to it.
I love it. And again, the show is called Builder Nuggets Podcast, but never fear, we're going to be rejoined by Duane and Dave as we continue talking about this amazing podcast, talking with builders, remodelers, business coaches, industry experts, and fellow podcasters. We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. So love to have fellow entrepreneurs, fellow podcasters. Not every week that I get to do this, but I'm joined by the co-hosts of Builder Nuggets. That's the amazing team of Duane Johns and Dave Young, fellow co-hosts with very different stories. And they have brought together their business backgrounds, their passion for this crazy, crazy world. In my opinion, it's crazy, but very lucrative and successful industry of builders, remodelers, but sort of peeling the curtain away. You're an entrepreneur. You are entrepreneurs and you talk to entrepreneurs. I was just looking at the list of your most recent episodes and you talk to some amazing people. So Dave, actually, if you don't mind, take us, what entrepreneurial life is like aside for, and some of the things that you've discovered that you never realized were true in the world of business ownership.
Yeah, well, it's never boring. That's for sure. And the one thing that we realized doing this was that there's things that you just don't know. And being curious, being open-minded, and seeking out that other knowledge, whether it's in your vertical or not, is huge. And that power of collaboration, Duane touched on it earlier. Nobody builds a custom home building company or remodeling company on their own. So, and it's funny, Shalom, we've had people tell us, hey, you should have called your show Business Nuggets because it works in every single business. And that's true. And I think that's why it's an attractive format for entrepreneurs of any kind, and why we can interview any entrepreneur to share their story, because there are some key fundamentals when you're trying to create freedom in your business that are across the board. If you want to have a rewarding company that's amazing for other people to work for, you want to build a magnet that attracts the best clients and that attracts the best team members and attracts the best subcontractors or market partners, the fundamentals are all the same, and you can take those away from any business there is out there at all. But that's where I would, the power of the collaboration and taking from other businesses is key.
And Duane, over to you as wearing your entrepreneur hat. And I know you wear many hats as you get to talk to some amazing people. Wearing your entrepreneur hat, what's that one bit of advice that you would have that you, maybe that speed bump that you had to go over that you might want to prevent a fellow listener to our programs from having to take?
Yeah, I know it's probably a bit cliche, but the get in the room with smart people, get in the room with successful people. I think for me, looking back, it's amazing how many successful people, they are excited to share what they've done or what they've learned. And I think a lot of folks, especially younger, when you start out, you have that, you're not quite sure if you should do that. Should I reach out? Should I go put myself in that room? Am I on the same level with these people? But I think being in the room with people that have done it, people that have failed, people that have failed, done it again and succeeded, it's just tremendously powerful. Because you put it, as Dave said before, with a story, it then has some real context. And I think it becomes much easier for you to take some of these concepts and apply it into your business.
Yeah, music to my ears indeed. And Dave, I'm going to put you in a very uncomfortable position of you having had so many amazing conversations on the program. I believe over 62 at this point. Any particular moments that stand out as just like that awesome episode that you learned something?
Yeah, we have, he's a good friend of mine too, and I learn a lot from him every call that I have, but he's one of the top builders in Canada, top remodeler, Steve Barkhouse. He blew our mind with our opening episode this year. It might be episode 53, the people plan. We are huge into investing into, your people. You got to invest in yourself and your mindset, but then you got to invest in your team. And I encourage any business owner to listen to that episode.
Well, we're going to send people over to those episodes because that's all we have time for right now. So, Duane, if you can wrap us up and make sure everybody can find your podcast and get in touch with the dynamic duo of Duane and Dave.
Yeah, podcasts on all the available podcast platforms. Easiest way is probably buildernuggets.com, our website. You can listen right there. Obviously on Instagram. Dave and I also are on LinkedIn. You can find us there, and that's one of the best places we like to connect.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap for us here and Get Down to Business. I encourage you, of course, as we wrap up, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and share to the Get Down to Business podcast, but also the Builder Nuggets podcast. Some great episodes, some great conversations to success. Let's get down to business. We'll talk to you next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560. The Answer. Have a great week.